foundation of Fake Four. Uh, you had a lot of momentum that year. Uh,
You, the
because
founding year, 2008. Yeah, so it
yeah,
started with my
2008.
brother. Yeah, it started with my brother's solo disc, this up here, which yeah, we did have some momentum, coming off of the Toka thing, and we kind of knew the way that we wanted to handle stuff in the indie world that we wanted to be a part of. We didn't want to, we had kind of tasted the Hollywood thing and we didn't want to do it the way they were doing it. So we kind of worked with people that we wanted to. We were putting out all types of weird music, all types of um
The first
uh,
Factor album came out.
the first Factor was our second Factor Chandelier, the album by Factor, who now calls himself Factor Chandelier, um, came out second. And then I think we put out like a stoner rock album by a band called Lord Fowl. And then we put out like this crazy, like symphonic indie rock album called Pretend You're Happy. And this other group, Mad Gregs. Nothing else that year was hip hop. Nothing else. It was like all over the map shit. Um, to the point where I think maybe it was a little difficult. It was a little difficult to sell, right? Because we were just taking too many chances with what we were putting out. So then, I hadn't released a solo record since 2006 officially.
For the life of me, I can't tell if I'm in an Orson Welles flick or if the flickering lights are a product of allergic reactions. But I'm convinced that our faces are sweating off into a swirling liquid taffy bubbling below as we're right.
Did released a couple singles that year. Count on It, Bad Jokes.
Yeah, so 2000 end of 2007, I went on my first um European tour. It was game changer, life changer. I went there with a broken arm my left arm in a sling, and I was playing this little mini Martin because I could just use my wrist to go up and down the fairway.
So as
It
long
was
as you stayed in your box, you're fine, right?
exactly. I somehow figured it out because I had a spiral fracture of the humerus. So I couldn't really go up and down like we would normally. Um fucking so yeah, I did that. It was like this it was an incredible tour because DJ Scientist brought me out, and it was the first time I noticed people in Europe um knew my music. There was, I was going to Switzerland and stuff, and everybody was singing along to my songs. Like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. And they were like feeding us and housing us. I was like, oh, it gets way better than Dead by Wednesday tours. You know what I mean? It gets way better than a metal tour, a hardcore tour, whatever you want to call it. And Europe was that. It was me going my first time doing solo performances really on a tour and, getting paid and getting taken care of and seeing that people knew my music in other countries. It blew it all open for me, really.
Good night's religion is a grip on the minds of the innocent. Bubbling ideologies in a makeshift. Sympathy and sympathy draped in stained glass. My God is not your God. My God's invisible. Your God is old and Anglo, and it is rumor that he died years ago.
Didn't you put
Um,
out a Dead by Wednesday album that year? The Killing Project? Didn't that come out in 2008?
I want to say that was no, I think that was a little bit later. I want to say that was a little bit later. Yeah, Killing Project. Oh, Killing Project. No, you're right. Killing Project did come out. That was on a different label. So that was 2008. Yeah. Yes, that was on Eclipse Records. And that was cool too, because I actually think that's the best Dead by Wednesday album, in my opinion. And it was I feel like I got more involved in some of the songwriting for that. Like I definitely wrote guitar on three or so of those songs, and I just think we were maybe at our most fired up because we were playing so much. Um, we were touring so much. I think we had captured something, and the other guys had captured something by playing together. I do think that is I think that's the best Dead by Wednesday album, in my opinion. Um, at least our version of it, and everyone's gonna have their own opinion. But that's when we did that song Pawns. We made like a real video for that, and we went on XM radio. I remember we went to XM radio in New York during that time. And I cannot believe I forgot to mention we went on an entire tour with Insane Clown Posse. Yeah, we did an entire tour, 30 dates with Insane Clown Posse and the whole psychopathic riders, all that.
So Dead by Wednesday did.
And by Wednesday, dude, that was
Did
2000.
was just surrounded by juggalos. So there's a bunch of juggalo followers, huh?
Yeah, surrounded by juggalos and it was hit or miss. It was amazing playing in front of thousands of people every night, but also juggalos, it's like opening for Slayer or something. Everyone just wants to see the juggalo shit. So I'd say half the audience. I feel like most nights we could win over about half the audience, and the other half was just people giving us a finger and saying like calling us names and shit.
I bet you Guar didn't get that response out of people. What's going on?
Yeah, yo, the Juggalos are another level. But we did meet so many cool people on that tour too. It was grimy though, man. It was like such hard work, so many long drives. I think I was sick about day three. I was already like, the weather's shitty. I think I lost my voice about day three. I remember very specifically the clowns, like Violent J. It was Violent J specifically being like, "Hey, brother, you got to get this natural remedy that Be Real of Cypress Hill told me about, like Singer Saving Grace or whatever it was. You got to go to GNC and pick this up or whatever." And it did actually help a little bit. But yeah, pushing through a 30-date tour where you're screaming your head off, getting paid nothing. Um, Funny enough, I should bring this up. Maybe I shouldn't bring this up. Funny enough, because we were going on that ICP tour with Dead by Wednesday, my brother and I decided to make like this outlandish, offensive hip hop album. That was the whole idea was to make a shock rap album that would just fucking offend everybody. And it was completely done, you know, it was completely done as a joke. It was called Nuck Feast. But we sold enough copies that me and my brother came home from that tour and we actually got paid on that tour. I remember depositing and sending home like 4 grand at the end of that tour. And to me, I was like, yes, we're doing this shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a big part of the story. I forgot to mention. I neglected to mention because of that tour. In fact, we weren't even, they made a Toka video for a song called Liar that we did, and we weren't in the video. The two of the main singers and musicians of the song weren't even in the video. It was just like other guys like sitting in for us. We were doing way too much, I'll be honest, but it was all it all led to what there is now, really. It's the way I see it. Um
As the morphine pill trickles down my throat, another addictive personality trait floats into backgrounds of dreams, giggling half jokes about how I can't cope with broken bones or a life of being home alone. 26 years of screaming while putting out the shape of a face isn't funny anymore. I'm grown up with a full beard and a whole gut, hoping that one of my 20 musical acts will finally blow up. But some days I'm like one step away from AA, and other days I've got one foot in the grave.
2010. You did
after
do another single in between that called Same Old Love
on
Song,
website.
which
Yes,
had Objects Are Falling on it as well.
yeah, so that single was great because it had 2Mex and AWOL 1, um, and Micah 9 on. These are all three of my Los Angeles hip hop heroes. Um, they're all on that record. It actually probably opened up a relationship with Micah 9 too, where eventually Micah joined my record label, Fig 4, and I introduced him to Factor. I introduced him to Factor Chandelier or Factor at the time because I did that song Objects Are Falling. And eventually, oh no, actually, how that worked was that's wrong timeline wise. I did introduce them, but it was because I had worked with Micah on the Toka on some music with Toka. Um, I was able to get Micah's information, and he is on Factor's album Chandelier with a song called Smoky. Um, and so we ended up by 2009, I booked and co-tour managed with my friend Vikel a whole tour for Mike and Nine and Soul. And this is like Soul and Mike and Nine are two of my underground rap heroes, you know. So for me to put this together was just incredible. And we put out his record 1969. And I want to say that was it must have been God, was that 2009 or 2010? I think it was 2009. Yeah, it's 2009. So December 2009. So very end of 2009. Yeah, all these things. So that Same Old Love Song single was attached to also had Mike and Nine on it, and
The moral of the story is, no one really gives a shit. But don't cry for the swatted flies, they loved what they did. The one-man band broke up, the one-man band broke up. Due to creative differences, the one-man band broke up. And everybody mourned the passing by passing along.
yeah, it wasn't until 2010 that summer of 2010 when we released One Man Band Broke Up.
which is one of my fucking favorite albums. I love
Thank
that album.
you.
Like,
Thank
the
you. Thank you.
whole album as a whole, like, just fucking flows right through.
Again, very much like a concept album, right? Probably the most out of any of them is that one.
Okay, so was Julius another like form
A
of
version of me.
yeah,
Yeah, he's another version of me. You know, it was like me in my late 20s been really off the heels of our band breaking up and kind of being like, fuck, am I really gonna do this music shit full time? Like, this is a nightmare, right? Am I gonna be this this guy who has no retirement plan? You know what I mean? It was a lot of, it's
yeah.
a lot of those questions, which, at the moment, that's what I am. So it's kind of funny to say, but at the time, I thought I was just out. I thought I was just gonna be out the game, really. And when I was making a lot of those songs like Bad Jokes but at the same time, that album, so Julius, my legal name is Julio Francisco. So you could see where the characters are coming from. Julius and the Buried Savior and Francisco Falls. But Julius, that whole record about the one man band broke up, it was a lot more of a thought out story in the end. Um, Written kind of in the third person.
Yeah. It seemed like Julie the impression I got was like within your own inner monologue, Julius was who you were talking to as yourself.
Yeah, and then I have to be honest, some of the people, some of Julius is built up by some of my elders in hip hop who let me down. Do you know what I mean? Like some of these guys who I saw fucking up real bad with drugs or money or hustles, whatever, like whatever that may be. It was to me, but also to them. You know what I mean? A lot of it's like cautionary tale shit. Like that whole album is cautionary tale shit.
Yeah.
Um, Also was a big breakthrough for me personally because I wrote that song Half Mast. And Half Mast is probably one of the best hip hop songs I've ever written as far as like a personal breakdown of my real life and like my history. It's one of the most raw and best written songs I've ever done in my discography, I think. And I mean that the fact that that record brought that Yeah, I actually stepped out of this kind of idea of a concept and made that. And it had that magical realism thing still. This peach tree, but even that was kind of based on some reality. Um,
Did you actually plant a peach tree with 50R?
I tried, I was a kid and I remember very vividly trying to grow peach trees when I lived in Decatur, Georgia. Um, yeah, so that's why I used that symbolism. Um,
You were, it was also the first appearance of the metaphor "Don't cry for the swatted flies."
yeah, which man, I've been looking so hard for the Don't Cry for the Swatted Fly is an acoustic song I wrote years and years before that. It was this really dark fucking song, very simple guitar part, but it was long, I remember. And I can still remember some of the melody. Don't cry for the swatted fly. I'm sure that he's better off. Don't cry for the swatted fly. Stop doing signs of the cross. And I remember, so they're like these internal references to songs that never came out ever. I'm still looking for that demo. I think I know where it is. It's on a computer I can't turn on anymore. So I am looking for that demo because I think that would be a really cool thing to share on my Patreon as well. I have all these old acoustic songs that I cannot find for the life of me. That was one of them. So referencing Swatted Fly is a reference to my own song that nobody knows, which is the most inside fucking knowledge bullshit I could ever think of.
Which is not the only time you referenced it too. Let's see. I believe it was a recent song, "Living Las Vegas." Did you make a
Yeah,
reference to that one in "Living Las Vegas"?
yeah, I did. I did. Yeah. And I referenced Barely Alive as well, which is the song I did with Sage Francis on the next album that came out 2000. When was that? 2015,
Which
maybe.
one? The Broken Bone Ballads?
Yeah, Broken Bone Ballads. Yeah, so
Know what you were thinking, what those demons chewing away at your brain had to say on those days strangled by anxiety and physical pain. I'd even climb an icy peak to the heavens just to figure out what was living inside of your beautiful head in this will.
where am I at?
You will see. We just did one man band broke up, and we were about to jump into the Shorted Circuits EP.
Oh yeah, man. So One Man Band Broke Up came out. I want to say that was summer of 2010. My grandmother, who I had just explained to you, had we had been caring for years, and honestly, it made it really hard for me to like leave home because I wanted to be there as well. My brother really took over and became the main caregiver. My grandma passed away in September, very shortly after One Man Band Broke Up came out. She passed away in September of 2010. I put out Shorted Circuits as a 10-inch, a memorial 10-inch for her. Because even though I wrote the song Shorted Circuits, she was sitting next to me when I wrote it. She was losing her mind, dementia. Um, but I finally had the built the, I don't know, confidence or to to put it out. And I did it in this sort of memorial way. And I got to thank DJ Scientist for doing it in such a beautiful vinyl. Really such an awesome DJ Scientist is such a great designer. And he also designs all of his vinyl on top of being a producer. Yeah, big shout out to DJ Scientist, um, for sure.
Plastic surgery couldn't put a glimmer back in those eyes with shards of glass, and most of us agree that the prettiest things on earth were never meant to last. Although I'm incomplete, cliches have taught me that feelings pass. I've always liked the taste of bittersweet because it reminds me of everyone's past and the way we can grow back tails when they get cut off.
In this sessions.
Oh, that was just Yeah, that was just a live session I did in Texas somewhere, in Denton, Texas. I don't know. That never really, I don't really consider that part of my discography. I think it's really cool though, and I think the cool part about that is that I played one of my favorite non-released songs is a song called "The Way We Grow Back Tails." I think that is one of my best acoustic songs that never really came out. And Morrissey song, which never came out either, um, which is really an anonymous INC song. But yeah, so that's cool that those came out because of YouTube. I remember going to Europe once, and this girl, she wasn't even from Europe. She was like from Chile or something, from Latin America somewhere, South America somewhere. She said The Way We Grow Back Tails was her favorite song. She had learned it and everything. So it's like because of YouTube. So that's cool that that happened, even though it never really was a official part of my discography. That song was supposed to be on the one man band broke up, but DJ Scientist and I kind of had a little clash about too many acoustic songs on there. He really didn't want that. And in the end, he was probably right. I don't know. It's definitely meant to be on the one man band broke up album. But yeah.
Word, word.
This is the end and every star's quickly burning out. So let us gather underneath fluorescent carousels. We'll try our best to forget endless freezing of our soul and celebrate another remnants of a the moon. Up to the sky before you die.
You also somewhere in this time frame released was it your last effort with Dead by Wednesday, The Last Parade? Were you on that one?
Yeah, yes. I was right, so that makes sense. I was all over that one. That was the last record I was really all over. Um, one of my late best friend, since we were little kids, um, did the art as well. It was kind of yeah, I'm all over that. Any parts of that record that sound like punk or like early mid 90s New York hardcore is probably because of me. But I remember it kind of being more of like a studio thing. I didn't really ever play those songs live. It was sort of my goodbye to that band. I was getting too busy with my solo shit, and I caught a case. December of 2010, I got arrested. So suddenly I had this whole other thing over my head, looming over my head with this weed setup or this mule driver from Cali kind of threw me under the bus while there was like he threw like apparently he told on like six people. I was the one to really catch it and went to prison for it eventually. But I had a 3 year court case from December 2010 till September 2013. Yeah.
Word, word.
Oh, my, it's a minute, the better, the wicked, never with this whole lifetime. I don't wanna make another one from a company that grows, wide, don't make it because you don't work out fine. I can never find the time to design a time machine or rewind, I can do it when I like those bright lights. All they're ever gonna do is blind eyes, only really wanna redefine my life with the sense of the timeline. When I die, I will explode into the night and take a few stars with me to show this world a bit of a fight.
In that time frame, you released the Free Chesky uh single, and then your
That came out. Yeah, Free Chesky single came out right the day I was going to prison. So it was that would have been 2013.
yeah, yeah, and you also in 2011 you made an appearance on Noah 23's Fry Cook on Venus.
Yeah, yes. I was actually pretty involved with that album. Um, I made some beats on that album. I produced a couple tracks on that album. Um, and I rap on the song with Mike and Nine, Sea of the Infinite Wave. We Noah and I, sadly had like a weird falling out because I think he thought I was going through my court case, and I think he thought I was so overwhelmed, and you know, my entire my entire livelihood was, you know, was um compromised, you know what I mean, from this court case. It was major news where I lived. It was, I was on all over TV and the front page of the New Haven Register and all this shit. It was a big deal. Noah's record was a record I was really involved with and love. I still love that record. That I kind of didn't, I wasn't able to fully devote all my attention to. And he was bummed out about that for understandable reasons. But he also went too far in some ways. And I think we've both gotten over that since then. But yeah, he's a very talented dude. And we actually this year I went to play my final show in London, Ontario, Canada, and we did a song together for the first time since 2011. So pretty
Well,
crazy.
I think it was either the internet or Bandcamp said that he made the suggestion of releasing the Behind Bars series.
No,
No?
no, no. Behind bars was the idea of Mo Nichols, who's a really good friend of mine, a DJ, um, and became my roommate eventually for years. Also, my right hand man when it came to Fake Four. He still ships all the Fake Four records. He's my man. He's just like my really good friend and the most reliable shipping guy I know. Um, he he cares a lot. He's a really great friend. It was his idea to do the behind bars mixes. He's like, man, you have all these collaborations and all these songs that no one's ever heard, all these verses on other people's albums. He made a mixtape, three mixtapes out of it. I remember him writing to me while I was in prison and being like, any other songs you could think of. And he went out and like started searching for me. He found some of the rarest, craziest shit that like it's terrible quality and stuff, but it was like that's the only way you could find it. So that was cool. I think it's cool that that exists. Big love to Mo Nichols.
Yeah, that because as I was doing my research, like you have been involved in so many, you have appeared on so many albums, other people's albums, collaborations and whatnot, that it was overwhelming tracking them all down. And then I stumbled across that, and I'm like, well, there it all is right there. At least anything before 2013.
Yeah, it's a pretty good collection. I mean, it goes a lot deeper. We could do probably a few more. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm not gonna go with the behind bars thing anymore. But we'll do something else. Mo was actually brought that up to me. He's talked about doing a cassette tape of more of my collabs. I think that'd be dope, especially just a cassette tape because I like that. That's really how you're supposed to listen to that stuff. He did that. He did it for our friends Arm and Hammer. They're like a hip hop group out of they're a very well respected hip hop group out of Brooklyn, New York. He did that for them. He did it for a few other groups. So Open Mike Eagle, I believe he did one for too. So yeah, it would be dope. We should do that sometime.
Word, word.
Sometimes we must forget. Or else we'll cover each other in the rubble of history, defeating the reason behind, moving on beyond whatever all the past taught us, forever leaving us motionless in the same shoes.
I tried hard to forget. Sometimes we can't forget.
No, moving on, I never even was an option. I couldn't try to believe that nothing happened to me. Well, everything presently would have possibly been better, but I couldn't remember to surrender my memory.
Let's talk about the rare, super hard to fucking find, only 100 copies made of Forgotten Forever.
Forever. Yeah, I was wondering if you're gonna mention
It
that.
almost got forgotten forever.
Yeah, I was supposed to be. You know what I mean? I could think, the craziest thing about that record, like looking back at, now that I have Patreon and I'm really like actively digging for all these little bits and pieces that never came out. Forgone Forever is a hell of an album, man. It is a really fully fleshed out album. It just doesn't have, I think in my opinion, I was so hard on myself when it came to concept and maybe not just concept. I wanted the songs to really fit with one another when I was making, even if I have a song from a completely different genre, I want them to fit for a reason. And Forgotten Forever is scattered. It's like it's from different eras of my life. um, different sounds. A lot of it's like self-produced stuff I did. So the quality, my production quality was really lo-fi, which I love, and I think it's kind of becoming popular again. But I didn't really want that. I wanted more cohesive sounding records. So a lot of those songs, even though I think Forgot Forever is a really good album. When I go back to it, it isn't as cohesive because it comes from different producers and different quality levels, and you know what I mean? Um, I think it's pretty cool though that we made it an art project with all these incredible artists that did um, handmade covers of each copy. And that was because of this label out in France called Cooler Than Cucumbers, which does not exist anymore as far as I know. This dude Tiago, he brought up the idea with me, and I don't remember how it got. And I definitely got very involved, and I think he asked about half the artists, and I asked the other half, and we made the record happen. So.
Believed in every form of illusion that could possibly be, from magic beans to morphing into new beings. But time took its toll on imagination and soul. Now you're rolling and slowly forgetting everything you were told. And you can't even stare into a child's eye without feeling guilt overtake you as if you committed a crime. It's just a cycle of life they told you in school as carnivores chewed away at balls of skin and boobs.
So I got a question for you. There is a lot of this random off, like hard to find rare shit that you have all over the place, like the Toka. I still have not found a full copy of that 2007 one.
Yeah, you don't know where to find that. You know what's crazy is that it probably got pressed. They probably pressed like 10,000 copies of that because we were on a label that had money. So and we were distributed properly. So I've heard that there were like thousands of copies of that sitting in a warehouse that probably got destroyed. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, where's
That's
all this stuff now? Are you ever gonna like reissue it for us all to hear? Like, am I ever
I
gonna
thought
be able
about
to
doing a
hop up
vinyl
online?
release. You know, that's the beauty of kind of wrapping certain things up is that maybe I will go back to that and reissue a vinyl for the first time because it never got put on vinyl. And I know all of us, all the main members want that to be out someday on vinyl. And we have like a whole nother heap of B-sides for that
Yeah, and
that are dope, that are really good.
I can't seem to find the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I found most of it. I'm missing
I don't
tracks.
think you can. Actually, that's not necessarily true. I think the way you could hear it all, I think you can find it on Apple Music or iTunes. I think you can.
I'm not on Apple Music.
That's why.
That's
I don't see it on Spotify, but it's on because iTunes was old, they got grandfathered in or something. That's the only place I could think of. And it might
because
be
I'm
wrong.
missing like 4 tracks off the album. I have all the rest of it, but
Oh,
like
really?
we're just
Okay.
missing like track 3, 6, 8, and 14 and 15. I'm still
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I have all the rest of it, and it's fucking awesome.
Oh, other way you could do it, sign up for my Patreon. I've given out the entire album
There
to
we go.
to the higher end subscribers. But yeah,
To the higher end, yeah.
gotta give them something worthwhile, you know.
Oh, and it would be worthwhile because, like I'm saying, all the other tracks I have are fucking great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool record. It's maybe again, I kind of feel like it's a little too long. Looking back at it, I was like, man, I wish we trimmed a little bit of this, but it was too hard with so many people having opinions and so many heated opinions. You know, some of the members wanted to really keep one song or they have their own like personal reasons. Yeah, it was a complicated time, which is why it took like 5 years to make that album.
Word.
On the road again. Here's an obligatory reference to Kerouac. He was eating apple pie at a diner. I'm sneezing, sleeping on a rug with cats. Still trying to convince myself that exposure will fend away lifelong allergies. While waking puffy-eyed as a boxer every other day of the week. These songs are spare change signs. Under rain, dripping and smudged. Near the freeway entrance, New Haven, Connecticut, I-91. I've gone on a mission from a vicious dickhead god who loves themselves to torture for fun, and I died trying to please them. This tour will never be done.
So let's get into Bone Ballads. Your first, like, he had officially changed his name to Factor Chandelier by then.
Yes. Yes, I was out of prison. We had we were trying to finish an EP before I went into prison and we could not finish it. So the last song I finished before going into prison was This Won't Last Forever. I had flown to Canada to work with him. He had sent me this beat. I remember I wrote it the day I decided to take a plea bargain and stop fighting my case because cases cost a lot of money. I ended up taking an 18-month sentence, which got lowered because I did like a drug program and whatnot. Um, it gets lowered automatically by the state because there's too many people in prison here. It got lowered from 9 months to half of that. So because of a drug program. Um, but yeah, This One Last Forever was the last song we finished before I went to prison. When I got out, I was like, doing hundreds of push-ups a day and doing like on my like energy, kind of still on my like making my bed really nice in the morning every day, like on my like prison mode. And I was energized to finish this album, and it went from being an EP to the full album you hear. And we added I would say about half the album was added during that time period when I came back out, 2013. Sorry, 2014. So the song Say Something. I remember Say Something. I wrote it super fast. I recorded it super fast. Um, it's about kind of feeling sorry for myself for the case I had and questioning that. And I remember I just kind of wrote it and recorded all the instruments for it quickly. It was probably done in a couple days. Sent it to Factor. Had a few other friends kind of play a few instruments on it after a while, but yeah, that was one of them. Forever 33, which became kind of a, a tag intro to This One Lasts Forever, was done also during that time. And I'm specifically talking about things I went through in prison. So Elm City, Elm City Ballads. And the hardest song to write was Beyond the End, because it was about one of my friends who passed. It was like I gotta say, Broken Bone Ballads was the first album where it was really me. It wasn't hiding under characters, none of that shit. It was like raw me. And yeah, everything was very thought out, from the first song being Choke Parade, which is the song I wrote. Remember I told you about my arm being broken still?
Yeah.
My arm was still broken while I wrote and recorded Choke Parade. So it even sounds like a younger version of me if you listen to it. The version of me that recorded Choke Parade is very different than the version of me that recorded Forever 33. There's a lot of life lived in that time period. Um, but yeah, Broken Bone Ballads was not only was it a big change for me artistically, speaking directly as me, um, there was a lot of momentum. When I went to prison, there were a lot of people kind of speaking up for me. We raised money on a GoFundMe to keep our label alive. Um, and I decided at that time that I really wanted to finally focus on my stuff, my solo music, make it a priority for the label. I had to make that decision because I had kind of put a lot of other people before me before that, for good reasons, I thought. But Broken Bone Ballads was the beginning of really focusing on my shit for once, really. Yeah. And it showed. It showed a lot. It was the first time I got more like critical attention, and I ended up pressing that vinyl like 6 times. It was probably one of my best selling Definitely my best selling record. That and Sad Fat Luck. Yeah.